Nothing will ever be the same for realtors again.
In October, a Kansas City jury delivered a $1.8 billion verdict for home sellers who claimed the National Association of Realtors and major brokerages conspired to inflate commission.
Okay, clearly a huge shift in real estate is happening. And as someone who's been in the real estate industry for 6 years and who has a lot of real estate agent friends on Facebook, I can tell you that agents are scared. Are they justified in this fear? My goal for this video is to, in a very simple way, educate you on what the lawsuit is about, what the settlement is, and what home buying and selling might look like for both agents and the consumers moving forward. All right, a simplified version of the lawsuit goes like this. A group of people who had sold their homes using agents got mad later on when they kind of came to the realization of just how much they actually had paid in commissions. So they banded together to form a lawsuit, and basically this is what they proposed. They said that the current home selling system in America, which is brought to you courtesy of the National Association of Realtors, is unfair to home sellers. They say that it artificially inflates the commissions of real estate agents. How does it do that? Well, in the US, in order to effectively sell a home, you need access to the MLS. You need to be able to put your home as a listing on the MLS, which means that you need a realtor. Now, the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, has a policy called the Clear Cooperation Policy. This policy makes it so that in order to put a listing on the MLS, the listing broker and listing agent have to put in that listing the amount of commission that is going to be shared with the cooperating buyer's broker and buyer's agent. Because the listing requires an amount to be put in that cooperating buyer broker's area, it pretty much mandates that a seller has to offer the buyer's agent a commission, which means that they're having to compensate the agent who's effectively working against them. But the main thing they were complaining about is that they say it's unfair because this makes it so that commissions stay higher than they would otherwise. Because if they don't give a good enough commission, one might say industry standard commission, and that's in quotes because there's not supposed to be an industry standard in commission, but they propose that if they don't give a good enough commission, since it's listed in the MLS and agents can compare the different commissions of different homes, those agents might not want to show that home, even if it's a good fit for the buyers, and thus they have to give a good high commission in order to actually sell their home with the current system. That's pretty much the core of their case, and they won. So technically a seller still can pay a buyer's agent commission, but they're not required to, and you're not going to be able to find out in the MLS listing if they have any plans to or not. So should real estate agents be afraid? Some of them should. Here's the facts. Going forward, buyer-broker agreements are going to be required. Now these are agreements that basically say, hey, you are committing to work with me. If you're a buyer and I'm your agent, you're committing to work with me to buy the home. And if I don't get compensated X amount, whatever amount they want to put in that agreement by the seller, then you're going to owe that money to me. So it clearly lays out the buyer and agent relationship as well as what the compensation is going to be. Additionally, sellers are going to think they can get away with giving no commission. Now, whether this turns out to be true or not is yet to be seen, because the fact of the matter is we have an established system that's been in place so long that sellers may still want to give a commission, or even feel potentially the need to give a commission in order to remain competitive and get their home sold. But regardless of any of that, the fact is I think it's going to make a downward pressure on commissions. We're going to see lower commissions because sellers are now going to think I can get away with giving no commission. And you know what? They might be able to. I guess we'll find out. My third point, if you are a buyer's agent, you may have to collect commission from the buyer. This kind of goes along with the buyer-broker agreement, but you may not be able to get your full commission or any of your commission from the seller, in which case that's going to have a huge effect on the process because your buyer may only be able to afford so much for a commission. Maybe they're not able to afford anything. I mean, some first-time home buyers are kind of cash-strapped to get all their down payment together. That's going to be a huge change. And finally, agents are going to have to do a much better job of showing their value. And I may get some flack from this, but most agents out there, truth be told, provide a commodity service. And that's because most agents out there don't go above and beyond in their job. They just do the minimum that they're required to do in order to close a transaction. Now, I believe that there are a smaller portion of agents out there who are truly worth their money and provide an amazing service and go above and beyond and really protect their clients. And I think that they're going to be able to still shine. But for a lot of agents who aren't used to going to that level and maybe don't have that skill set yet too, it's going to be harder for them to be able to sell their value to their customers, to their clients. Here's my predictions on where things are headed with the industry. This will take some time, but I think eventually there will be a lot of consolidation into a handful of different technology-based brokerages that offer representation to buyers and sellers for a low flat fee. And they'll try to automate as much of the process as they can using technology while still giving some representation. And there will probably be a variety of levels of service out there based off of the cost of how much hands-on help that you get. I do think there will be a bunch of good agents and good real estate teams that survive over the next handful of years, though their roles will change. And also, I personally think that luxury real estate agents, especially ones that do a really good job, are probably going to be some of the longest to stick around, because I think the luxury market and luxury clientele typically want a more hands-on approach with the things that they do anyway. They want more of that tailored service. And so I think luxury agents have a chance to maybe stay on better than just your first-time home buyer agent. And to be honest, I think all this was kind of inevitable. I actually predicted this a handful of years ago. I didn't think it was necessarily going to be brought on by legal change. I thought it would be more just based off of technology and consumer sentiment. But I did think that there would be major changes in the real estate industry that put downward pressures on commissions and kind of changed the model of how things are done. And so back in 2019 and 2020, I started working on a startup and pitched some local entrepreneurs on it. And it was basically around the idea of lowering the costs of buying and selling homes while still providing good agent representation. And I did it through tackling like a part of the process that isn't usually looked at. I still think there's a lot of opportunity for it, to be honest, but ironically, I got really busy with being a real estate agent and doing a ton of deals that year and the next, so I kind of sidelined it and I haven't returned to it. But I still think there's tons of opportunities to innovate in this industry right now and for the next handful of years. So my assessment is agents are going to stick around, but their roles and their compensation are going to change pretty greatly. I wouldn't necessarily recommend a non-realtor to get into the industry now, but I would recommend entrepreneurs to enter the industry with innovative startups focused on tackling problems that both agents and consumers are facing. Also, this is a bit of a side note, but there's an irony around the lawsuit that many agents have noticed, and that is that lawyers are currently making a ton of money from winning this lawsuit for basically attacking and dismantling the system we have of how agents are compensated. And ironically, the legal system compensates lawyers in a very similar way when they win lawsuits. But I don't think any lawyer is about to go do a lawsuit against the system that feeds them. So they're probably safe, but some agents have noticed some irony in that. Let me know what you think of all of this below. Am I wrong about what the future of the industry looks like and whether agents should be getting into the business right now? Let me know. Thanks for watching.